Warning, this podcast has stories of real-life events and true crime that happens every day. These stories may contain adult language and graphic or disturbing details not suitable for everyone. Listener discretion is advised.
132 in Bush, I've got him at gunpoint. Check the left phone, pull back direction on your side.
We're pulling them out.
10-1-1. Advise ready for game.
Gun!
Welcome to another episode of War Stories. I'm Chuck, and as you can see, Tom is not here. He had some prior engagement with his job, so it is what it is. But we are here today with Lewis. What's up, Lewis?
Not much. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Good, man. Thank you for coming on. So Lewis is an innovative game developer, a writer, a filmmaker. He was also in the United States Army, 82nd Airborne, and he was in Afghanistan from 02 to 03 and was an engineer. So he got to blow some shit up. I know a little bit about that, and I can't wait to hear you talk about all this stuff. But I don't think we've really ever had a game developer or a game maker on here other than what Dylan does, our producer.
Mm-hmm.
And what else do you got going on? What else did I miss?
I mean, for now, it's mostly just been the game stuff, like these days, I'm starting to get back into actually just writing prose, like writing fiction and stuff.
Right.
It's been like over 10 years since I actually published anything there, I think, but yeah.
Nice. And I'm looking at your LinkedIn right now, and it says the Ghost Recon franchise. Now, were you a part of that?
Yeah, I was the writer. I wrote a lot of what ended up in the game for Ghost Recon Wildlands, one set in Bolivia, and then I was the lead writer for Ghost Recon Breakpoint, the one where John Bernthal was the bad guy. So
wow, that's pretty cool. Growing up as a kid, I mean, this is pretty nostalgic for me because growing up, I used to love playing video games. I still like playing video games, Call of Duty, Madden, that type of stuff. But Ghost Recon, oh my gosh, that was the shit. That was before Call of Duty. That was so awesome. So getting to talk to someone who's been a writer on that, that's pretty freaking dope, dude. So what was it like working on Ghost Recon? I mean, and did you get to meet Brenthal?
Oh yeah. So yeah, if we talk about
like?
Breakpoint. Oh yeah. So Breakpoint was the second one we worked on. So I was the lead writer for that. So he played the bad guy, this guy named Colonel Walker, right? Who basically he was a former member of this like elite ghost team who kind of betrays them, but for kind of idealistic reasons, basically, right? He's got like a philosophical difference, really. But Bernthal was freaking amazing. He was great to work with. Like it's kind of like, so all the actors that we worked with already, like they were all freaking great, you know what I mean? But like, he was still. Yeah, it's kind of like he kind of elevated everybody else, you know what I mean, in a certain way, because like a lot of these actors they worked with these cinematic crews like pretty frequently, you know what I mean. So they all like knew each other well. It was kind of a well-oiled like machine, you know what I mean. They all know each other. They come in, hey, how's it going? Let's go. But then suddenly, like in walks, a guy's freaking A-lister, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like. But this is the thing. So, like, one of the things, too, like, of course, the status that he was at, this is already after Punisher had come out, I think, right?
Right.
So, like, people nervous were like, is he just going to be some kind of, like, asshole rock star or something? You know what I mean? Like, so, like, the studio, like, it's Ubisoft's studio, they kind of bent over backwards to make sure he was happy. But Homeboy was, like, chill as hell. You know what I mean? That's awesome. Like, he was really cool. Like, I'm not going to pretend that we became like bosom buddies or anything, right? But like, like he's like a consummate professional, and like, like he is like genuinely a tough person. I'd guess, you know what I mean? Like, luckily I didn't have to find out, right? But like, even so, like when he plays it, it's authentic, like that's why everybody believes it and connects with it. But on top of that, though, like he's really into the craft of acting. Like he is hardcore about it. Nice. Like he studied it. Like before he was famous. Like he moved to Russia to study acting. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that's
dude.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Who moves to Russia to study acting? I mean, that's some dedication right there.
Yeah.
So he's like a method actor. Does he get into the role and that's him? He's in the role, or is he just?
I mean, it's like method gets Method gets like a bad reputation because I think a lot of people probably take it too much. Like, yeah, I'm not going to bathe because they didn't get to bathe, in World War II, or stuff like that. Which, like, I think that probably can help some actors, like believe that shit. But
Yeah.
like he had, like you have like a system. You know what I mean? Like that's really what method acting is. Like a
Right.
person has a system of acting, and like and his like he was on point. Like it was kind of nuts. Like because there are some things that we had to like write or rewrite like the night before. So you know what I mean? You have a day of shooting the mocap, which is like when you're in the skin suit with all the little ping
The
pong.
dots and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'd have a day of that, but then like suddenly there'd be something I'd have to write or rewrite like that night for the next day.
Right.
So, no beer drinking for me that night, right? But
Uh-huh.
then I come in the next day with the pages. He just looks at them like once and he almost has them down. You know what I mean? Like and that's something that I've seen a lot more with like because there are a couple other TV actors who are on that set too, and they could do pretty much the same thing. So it's like a real skill. Like I was really jealous of that shit. Because I wrote the stuff.
Yeah.
I can't remember any of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Memorization has always been like difficult. I was always wondering, I watch shows and stuff like that. I'm like, man, they're so into the conversation, it's so realistic. How hard is that? I just think, and I was thinking about that the other night,
Mhm.
and I was watching TV. I was like, damn. And then, wow, it just answered my question. They're just that good. It just comes to them. They're just used to it.
No,
I
but
mean, I
and
guess it's
also
the
like
craft.
yeah, and more often than not, they probably just got the pages that day. Like
Yeah.
that's one of the things I learned from working with all those TV actors and stuff.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Maybe they just get so into the character. They're like, that's exactly what he would say, obviously.
I don't
And they
know.
just go and do it.
That would
So
be awesome.
I'm assuming you probably that being in the military, being in the
Mhm.
82nd Airborne as an engineer probably helped you obtain that role. Or
Yeah. So this is a really like convoluted story that um but basically before I was in the military, I actually went to NYU film school, right?
okay.
Then after film, I graduated in '99. Then after it, I moved to after I graduated, I moved across the Hudson River to Jersey City, right?
Okay.
So I was living there, like started working in film, doing crew work, started doing some writing stuff. But then like September 11th happened, and like I saw the World Trade Center fall like outside my apartment window. So
Right.
like, and, I'd had like a couple generations of my family that already served in the military, like going back to World War II, right? So like I didn't intended to join the military. It wasn't something I've been looking for, but it seemed to be like the obvious freaking choice, like it had literally hit home, so
Exactly. We're right there.
yeah.
And I know we've kind of jumped around. We kind of
Yeah.
started in the game thing. And I
Sure.
know we always ask our guys and our listeners that come on, guys and gals
Mhm.
both, why you got into it. And we kind of, got into that right there. So
Yeah.
when you saw those towers, guy, you were not trying to go into the military. You were like, I'm going to go to film school. I'm going to do all this. I'm going to put in my dues, and I want to get into the industry. Right. So, but when you saw that, it was just that esprit de corps. Did it hit you? And you're like, well, nope, that's it.
Yeah, because it's like there's never been any other time in my life that I've felt like completely helpless.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like 100%. Like there are times when there's like, oh, I'm too freaking tired to like keep running or to get up. You feel helpless that way or something. But it's just like freaking. There's absolutely nothing I can do in this situation. You know. So yeah, that was one of the things. Just like we're all gonna freaking do something. So going back to the first question you asked, so it was after I got out. Then that's when I got back into film. It took like a few years, but I actually ended up as a producer for documentaries that were being shot in South America, so mostly in the Amazon River basin and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a wild. That was a cool experience. Like some of the best people in the world you can meet down there, right?
Right.
But then but then I also was still writing. So I wrote a play about some soldiers trapped on the top, or like stranded on top of a mountain in Afghanistan, and an old friend of mine came to the reading that I had for it. And then like a few months later, he like called me up. He's like, hey, I'm working on this video game. I know you're in the military. You've been to South America. It's called Ghost Recon Wildlands. It's about these like, this drug guys in Bolivia and stuff. And I was like, oh,
Right.
you know what? I just spent a week with a Cocalero in the jungle. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
got interviews with him I could share with you. So
Nice.
yeah, that's how I got in. And then basically I did enough on Wildlands that when they needed a lead writer for Ghost Recon Breakpoint, they asked me. So
That's awesome. That's kind of like a full 360 for you, because you started,
yeah,
your career as wanting to get into the film industry. September 11th happened. That obviously threw a wrench in the thing, kind of postponed a lot.
mhm.
And then you went into the military, and then you get out, and because of your service in the military, because of South America stuff and all that other stuff,
Yeah.
it led into all this, and that's kind of got you where you wanted to be, I guess, right?
Kind of, I didn't expect to be in video games, but like I'd
Right.
already knew that video games were going to be like a huge thing, because it was like even when I think I was still in college when like the first PlayStation came out.
No
You know what I
shit.
mean? So like, yeah. So like, I'm aging myself here, huh? Right.
A lot.
All
Bro, I was a little kid.
right. Well,
I'm
there
only
you go. Right.
36.
Yeah. All right. I got 10 years on you. But yeah. So like, but that was the thing. So that was the first time. So like Final Fantasy VII, right? That was the first time there were these like really movie-like moments. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So real cinematic type stuff. And I was like, oh, I remember telling a friend, I was just like, yeah, this is where the future of cinematic storytelling is going to be, And I don't think she believed me, but that's kind of where we ended up. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, now they're like little mini movies. I mean, you play Call of Duty,
yeah,
and that's a masterpiece in itself, just with the storyline, and you're like, whoa, that's crazy. It's a movie, like little short movies, and it's so cool, and it really drives in my opinion, I like it. It drives the story, and it allows you to feel like you're there and and give you an immersive experience. I love that. And I think Ghost Recon did it kind of like that before it was
Mhm.
popular with Call of Duty. And I love Ghost Recon. I'm pretty sure I played Wildlands, and I think I still have it somewhere
Yeah, man, go
on
on.
my
Yeah,
floor somewhere. all
that
fucked
that
up.
one. So that one, like they weren't really paying attention to what I was writing in that one.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're just like, make it realistic, right?
Mhm.
So like, little did they know what realistic would actually be like.
Right.
So in Afghanistan, I'm going to be writing at like the soldiers that I knew, but I also,
Mhm.
knew, special operators like the SF guys and at
Right.
Bragg, like either we'd be support for them on missions, right? Because as a combat engineer, like I was a little more expendable than the guy you spend like millions of dollars training, right?
Yeah.
But then also, I'd meet them like at the Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym or something where they'd kick
Right.
my butt, you know what I mean? Or whatever.
Good training.
So like I just wrote them, like as real people, which a lot of like Ghost Recon fans, a lot of them didn't like it, because they were expecting something that was a lot more like the way they write in Call of Duty or something, where like
Right.
everybody's cool and gruff, So
Yeah.
which is, it's a style. It's good. And I have nothing against it, but you can't pretend it's realistic, right?
Right.
So but then like when we started writing Breakpoint, especially when Bernthal came on, where there are a lot more eyes going on, the project,
Mhm.
and that it was a lot harder to write with that authenticity that I was trying for. So there are a lot more compromises, I guess, I had to make as a writer in that one. But again, like I think the end result, though, on the whole, is something that I think we can all still be proud of.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And you got to work with Brenthal. I mean, the Punisher, bro.
yeah,
That's fucking awesome. So getting into your military,
yeah,
after, I know it's all over the place, but hey, you
yeah. That's
have
how it is.
yeah, it's okay. You got a lot of interesting shit on here, and I think I would kick myself in the butt if we didn't talk about Ghost Recon. I'm sorry,
No, please.
I like Ghost
Yeah.
Recon. But so you saw the towers hit, and
Yeah.
it drove you to enlist into the army. Did you know you wanted to go into the army, and how did that look going in?
Okay.
What was that like?
Yeah. So basically, so I was living in Jersey City, like, like I had a roommate, whatever, trying to do the adult thing, right? But then I basically packed up all my stuff, just moved back to my mom's house, and I was gonna just to have all my shit there, and then I was gonna enlist in my hometown down in Maryland. But there's also like I knew that a friend of mine, he was a lot older. He was like maybe like 6 years older. Still, he's like 6 years older, but he'd been an Army Ranger. Like he was like a police officer in Baltimore, and like those days he was like an air marshal already, right?
Okay, wow.
So I was like, well, I think I should probably talk to him to see before I enlist,
Absolutely,
but he was an air marshal, so he kept like flying everywhere. So I never got a chance to like talk to him before I like went to the recruiter. But so I did so I was just like, crap. Well, at least I'll start the process, right? Maybe I'll be able to talk to him first, right? So I took the ASVAB. I actually did really well in the ASVAB, so they were like, okay, you can basically choose whatever you want, So originally my original plan was, okay, I'll do military intelligence. It's going to be that kind of war. When it's a war on terror, you're going to be like looking at satellite pictures or whatever stuff people do, right? But then, of course, when I go to MEPS, when you actually need to sign the paper, they're like, yeah, we won't have any spots for military intelligence for like 6 months or something. I was like, all right, well, I'm here to serve, like I kind of want to deploy stuff. And he was like, oh, well, we got you can be a 12 Bravo combat engineer of the 82nd. And I'm like, oh, okay. So kind of I went for it, because I was like, like I just wanted to get it started, like I had a fire under my ass and I wasn't going to wait around 6 months.
That's a good group of guys to be with, because engineers, I went through some training courses with engineers. Yeah, I myself was in the Marine Corps as an amphibious assault vehicle. I was a crew chief.
Okay,
we dealt with MICLICs on our shit. So we
we had
nice. Rockets and C4 on board. And fortunately, tracks are shitty. Love the tracks. Yes, till I fucking die. But they're just so outdated. And even when you throw a MICLIC on the back, I mean, it's not very fast. It's very
struggling.
Slow. Yeah, it's a struggle bus. It's 27 tons of amphibious death that goes 7 knots in the water if you're lucky, and like 20 miles an hour, maybe 30 on flat land. But you going down the hill, we can get that bitch up to 50 miles an hour. Believe me, just can't turn. But
that's
we got
hilarious.
to do some training with our engineers, and where we were in Lejeune, we were in the back of the fucking base, because we had to be next to the bay so that we could splash and do our training in the water. So the only dudes who were next to us was Recon and MARSOC. Okay, MARSOC just got brought back. Us and engineers, but it was the school battalion, so we're like, don't fucking touch them. They're in schools and they're co-ed, and we're like, so a lot of dudes got in trouble, but we got to do some cool training with those dudes because of our MOS. And I gotta say, engineers, bro, you guys get to play with some of the best shit. It's just like, oh my god, going through that course, learning how to make bombs and shit, and like tying cherry knots and fucking with C4 and making Bangalore mines and satchel charges and all that cool shit. Oh my god, best fucking couple weeks of my life. So, and you got to do that for a career. I mean, bro, and then you go to 82nd and get, I'm assuming, jump wings.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to get the wings. You have to get the wings there. I don't know. It's kind of like it's very flashy and everything. And like
that's so cool.
The when you're in the 82nd, it can be kind of a pain in the ass because so much of it's like pomp and circumstance. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like with the jump, like going running in the jump boots that you got to all spit polish and stuff. But that's the thing. Like I actually deployed. I think I was deployed a little bit more than I was actually in garrison. Or maybe it was about even. So
did you do a 3-year contract?
Yeah, I just did a 3-year contract. So maybe it was probably just a couple months that I was actually in garrison more than I was deployed. I don't know. I'm probably talking shit though, right? But my best
friend was 82nd.
Yeah.
Same shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So I deployed. So first guys to go to Afghanistan. Other than Ranger Bat and like the Secret Squirrel Squad, were like 10th Mountain and 101st, right? So, but then for Operation Enduring Freedom 2, that's when the 82nd came. So I wasn't at first slated to go. I was assigned to a different battalion at the time, because it was set up differently than the brigades that the military probably had near there. But basically, like the engineering battalion would be like split up and like, okay, you're supporting this infantry battalion, you're supporting this one, you're supporting this one, right? But you know, there really hadn't been like a surge of people enlisting, you know, even after September 11th. So they're like, all right, well, no, that's the thing. Like a lot of people don't actually realize that, I guess, you know, they don't think about it because there are a bunch of people who did enlist, you know, like myself.
Right.
And us, my co-founder was also the same, right? But you know, I don't blame anybody for not enlisting. Everybody has their own calling, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But like I don't like none of my other friends enlisted or anything. So you know, that is what it is, right? Yeah. Sorry, where else was I going with that? But yeah, so they filled up the battalion that needed to go with people from other squads. So I'm there with like a new freaking squad. They don't know who the fuck I am. You know, they just gone through like sapper school together, which is like, so you're familiar with sapper school. It's like
but explain it for everybody else.
Yeah, sure. So basically there are several different tabs that you can get on your shoulder in the military. Like there's, you know, special forces tab, there's like ranger tab, there's also sapper tab. So the sapper is basically it's the name, the word means combat engineer. It's the same kind of thing, but in the US and the US military, they're the people who can pass this more specialized school. I mean, I don't think I probably would have done well in it. You know, like I was never like a PT horse or anything, but I never had the opportunity to go because I was freaking deploying so much. I was getting my training on the job.
Fucking trade-off, I guess.
yeah. But it's a really respected school. A lot of people say some people will claim that it's harder than Ranger School because there's also like there's like a school part of it too.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you got to do calculations and stuff, which I guess you like maybe you don't have to do as many in Ranger School, I guess. But
right.
I don't know that. But anyway, so yeah, I deployed with them for OEF 2, and then when we came back, that battalion. They're kind of starting to like, there are already rumblings of Iraq at that point, right?
Yeah.
But then like some guys who our replacement battalion, some of them they pissed hot. Basically, they're in Afghanistan. They tried to hash. You know what I mean? Like, I can't. Like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? So basically, they were like, we need volunteers to go replace these people. And like nobody raises their freaking hands. They're like, we need E4s. So I was just like, and I was the only E4 like standing in the fucking formations. It's like,
shit, you got promoted quick, huh?
Well, I had a college degree, so I came in as the E4, right?
Fuck, really?
Yeah.
No shit, huh? Damn.
Yeah. So that was something that some people held against me for sure, right? But
yeah, my boy Kenya, his name's Kenyan Jewy, and he went to Notre Dame, and everyone's like, "Why the fuck didn't you become an officer?" He's like, "If I ever want to do a career, I want to be respected." And he's like, "I'm not going officer right off the bat." And I was like, "Hey, fucking props, bro."
Did he stay in?
No, he ended up getting out and utilizing his degree for fucking the oil field, making a shit ton of money there.
There you go.
It's like an engineer and shit for the oil industry. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he it took him forever because when he came in the Marine Corps, they're like, "You ain't getting special fucking treatment. We'll make you a Lance Corporal. That's it."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, He promoted quick though. I think he was
but
got out.
That's what one of the incentives I guess they were given, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so I volunteered. Then my buddy Pedro, he was still like E3, like a PFC at the time. He was just like, "Well, fuck, you're going, I'll go." So we volunteered for OEF 3. So we were there for most of that also. So
nice. So did you so obviously you went to engineer school and you just didn't go to the sapper school. So
exactly,
did you guys get to deal with those I know that engineers, at least in the Marine Corps, when I was going through in 07, 08, and 09, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. They had almost looked like a fucking Abrams, but it had a grate on the front where she would push through minefields and blow up.
Oh yeah, like the sweepers. Did they have the flails on it and stuff?
I think so, and it would shoot out flags at the back end to show your path. But I was like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, those things we didn't get any of that shit. So
No?
like we're airborne, so we couldn't jump with it. We didn't have it. You know what I mean?
Nice. So what did you
Um,
have? What was
okay.
that like being
Yeah.
airborne engineer?
Well, so most of what we had these like really janky, like metal detectors basically. And like, so in Afghanistan, there's actually a lot of iron in the soil, especially at least where we were in like the eastern mountains part. So like it was almost useless. The thing would just go off at anything all the time.
Yeah.
And then
Obviously.
the ground is also really freaking hard too, because at the time when we were there, there'd been like drought for like years, right? So the ground is just like almost as hard as rocks, right? So those little like needle looking things, those pointer looking things that you're supposed to use to probe for mines, like they were freaking useless. So we just take out our K-bars and like start digging into the ground,
Yeah.
So that was most of what we have. Like my barracks roommate though, on our first deployment, like his squad, his team got to have the robots though. So
Nice.
so that was like it was cool because like his picture was in like whatever, like 2004's Guinness Book of World Records or whatever, because like our unit was supposedly the first to have like robots on the battlefield. So I remember because they were called they were named after the Addams Family characters. So I think the one we had was Fester, I think, for Uncle Fester. Yeah, it was really like, I don't know like where these names came from, but it was like, yeah,
all right.
yeah. But it was funny because like, we got to train with them at least. Like I didn't get to use them in the field like some of these other guys did, but we trained with it still. But of course, it's like a remote controlled vehicle with like a camera and like there's a speaker on it. So of course, like my team leader just takes it, cruises over to the line, going to the PX, starts talking to girls through like the robot. He's like,
oh my God. Of course.
Yeah, man.
Leave it up to the youngsters to freaking do some foolish stuff. That's funny.
Exactly, with like your millions of dollars worth of technology,
I see why we always got yelled at by the command staff, and we're just like, we're just fucking around, like, whatever. But like, dude, that's millions of fucking dollars, dude.
Yeah.
Like now I look at it, I'm like, dummies. Like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
But that's hilarious. It makes for great stories. So that first deployment, what it looked like and how was it?
I mean, so it was real early. So did you deploy to Afghanistan?
Unfortunately, I got a lot of stateside fucking deployments,
Okay,
and I didn't get to go and play with my toys.
Hey, no worries.
Overseas.
No, no worries.
In the department and law enforcement.
Yeah, well, that's a whole different other kind, right?
Yeah, it's different.
But it was very early, obviously, when we went. So like we actually went early enough that I actually went on like the last mission for Operation Enduring Freedom 1. It was called Operation Anaconda 2 because the 101st had actually sent their engineers home already. So their engineers were like their combat engineers were chilling in Germany. They're like, no, we got another mission, right? So this like, well, let's get some engineers from the 82nd that's here, So like, nice. So of course, my platoon sergeant had to come along too. He's like, I'm getting some of this action,
historic,
right?
Bro.
Yeah.
Historic.
So again, that was a pretty chill mission though, actually, because like the 101st guys were awesome. It was the 187th, the Rakkasans. Like they were really chill. They were awesome guys to work with. So like if my kids wanted to go into the military, I'd be like, yeah, try to get in the 101st. Those guys are chill. So but anyway, but then I spent most of that first deployment at a fire base that was in the eastern mountains of Afghanistan. I guess none of this is giving anything away because all those places are gone now, right? But it was called Oregon E. But when I got there, it was basically just like it was a little more than 3 holes in the ground around a house. You know what I mean? Like one of those triangle type bases, right? So like a lot of our time was like spent shoring up the defenses of that, but then we'd also, we'd go out on missions with the infantry and in support of the SF team that was based out of there. There are a couple different teams that went through there when I was out there. Like a lot of that would be like, if it wasn't, just searching villages and stuff, it would be like, oh, well, we found a weapons cache. Let's air assault in the engineers and they can blow it up,
Right.
So, I mean, there's also stuff that, because, they're given bounties on everything too. So people would come in, they like, you know, Afghani people would come in with like little stacks of like landmines and stuff, you know, and be like, hey, like, give me some money for these. And then, you know,
this is from the Russian War.
Exactly.
Back in the day.
Oh my God, dude, there's some really old ass bombs that we would find, you know, like sometimes we'd go out with EOD also, because they would be like specifically like, yeah, the locals are reporting that there's like a bomb over here. And some of this shit we would find, they'd be like bigger than your like hot water heater, man. And it would be like clearly Russian. And I just have this distinct memory of us standing over it with like the EOD guy, and he's like, yeah, we're just gonna leave that here for now. You know, we're not messing with that. Because yeah, it would like destroy like half the valley if we screwed up, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, that
just
was
mark
it.
Wild. Stay away, guys. Stay away.
Yeah, exactly. That's really all we ended up doing. Just put a flag. You know?
That's funny. So what was some of the most memorable times in that first deployment?
That first one, man, like a lot of it was really just being just being up there in Oregon with like the team there. So in that first half of it, like I was with some really good guys. And yeah, like everything was freaking new, you know what I mean? But we also, at the same time, we had nothing. Like there was no running water. Like by the time like they closed up Oregon, there was like a PX there. You know what I mean?
No shit. Huh?
Yeah. But like when we were there was no running water. Like we had to do our laundry out of buckets and stuff. I don't think there were any women there either that first deployment. There were, because I actually went back to Oregon again on my second deployment. And there were MPs who were there at that point because they realized, oh, we got to search the women too. So, so you know, like we're basically like just going on combat missions with female MPs so they could search the women and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, actually, like most of the nutty stuff really happened in my second deployment. It was just like a different crowd, like a kind of a different culture too. But you know, so sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so that second deployment, was it straight back to Oregon or was it somewhere else and then you came back and you're like, oh?
Again, I spent the majority of my deployments at Oregon, but there'd always be like, okay, you're going to be sitting in Bagram for a little while, or you're going to be in Kandahar for a few weeks and stuff.
Yeah,
and we'd run missions out of there, but it's kind of, I'm not sure how I ended up back at Oregon, to be honest, because you know at the time there were a whole bunch of other smaller forward operating bases in that area, like Shkin, you know, places like that, you know, where I can't remember the one where like the CIA guys got overrun. That was out there in that territory too.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's in that movie Zero Dark 30. They show that the people who get overrun there. But anyway,
I'm watching it, I just don't.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it right now.
Okay.
But yeah, so you know, sometimes we'd run missions out of some of those. Like they'd specifically be like, oh, we'll fly there, base out of there, then we'll search the area because we got a high value target we're looking for. So we got to search this whole area out. But then like it kind of, because the second deployment is like 2003, like at that point it was already kind of evolving, you know, into like that was during the deployment where they literally said, okay, we're changing our mission. We're no longer here to hunt down and like kill the Taliban and Al-Qaeda forces. We're here to prevent them from committing any actions, right? Which is like a totally different kind of mission. And like when they said that, I was like, oh, we're gonna be here a fucking while, you know? Yeah. So the types of missions we were doing were different. They're a lot more civil affairs stuff. That was when we started doing like weekly sweeps of the schoolyard, because you know there'd be occasionally, I guess, the Al-Qaeda or Taliban people would like mess with the schoolyard because they didn't want girls learning like how to read and stuff, you know. So we did that like every week. But then like, but there are also a lot more missions with EOD, and I don't know, like the guys that we had, I don't like talking too much shit about EOD because I know like a lot of people have had great experiences working with them, especially like in Iraq and stuff.
Right.
But you have to remember like the base camp where we were starting at, you know, in Oregon, that's already like 7,000 feet up, right? That's the altitude, right? So everybody's already sucking wind, like just walking, you know. But then like the EOD guys also had to bring their like big ass computers with them and all this other equipment and stuff. But at the end of the day, all we ended up doing is just like, blowing up as everything, right? But yeah, there was one particular time, like this was already like everybody was already tired, and in that deployment, especially, that's one where they kept delaying redeployment back to the States. That like there'd be a time where like, okay, this is the date you're going to leave, but then it'd be like, oh no, something came up. You're gonna have to stay another month. So you're not good enough. So there are people who are like, their little kids were like mad at them and stuff. You know what I mean?
Hurry up and wait. Oh man.
Yeah, but then they just kept extending and extending. So like morale was already kind of shit at that point. Like people were pissed off.
Because you guys in the Army, you do fucking deployments. Like Marine Corps, we'll do like a 6-7 month deployment, come back for a little bit, and then you can go back out. But for the most part, a lot of guys would do one deployment 6-7 months, and that's it. I mean, I've heard some 10 months, 11 months deployments and things like that from the Marine Corps side. But for the most part, majority was 7 months. 6-7 months.
Yeah,
you guys
most of
like
the Army
13,
ones.
14.
Well, back then they were short. They were still short. The first two were pretty short. So that was the thing. So imagine you're expecting to be someplace 6 months.
Right.
You tell your little girl back home, like, yeah, I'm going to be back in 6 months. But now it's like 8 months. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So like people were like, morale was fucking low. Like people were pissed. So like there's this one like I can't remember how they even found it, but they found this big ass weapons cache in the side of a mountain. Well, it didn't look that big. It looked like about like a couple dozen mortars or something, right? Now in the caves in Afghanistan, like they're not like in you see in the Rambo 3 where like they're like riding their horses through the caves and shit. Like it's nothing like that. It was more just like a kind of hollowed out part of the mountain, right? So like the size of a shed, maybe, right? So there are a couple explosives in there. We're like, all right, we're not going to move any of that shit, but let's wire it up. So we'll set it off, and that'll be it for this one, right?
Right.
But
exactly,
blow in place. But we were, again, we're even higher than the 7,000 feet up. So like everybody's hurting more. So like we didn't walk far enough away. You know what I'm saying? Like that was like my squad leader. He was just like, yeah, let's just stop here, man. I'm just like, shouldn't we get a little further, Sergeant? He's like, no, there's like a ridge here where we'll be safe behind the ridge. You know what I mean? So, and they're just going to radio detonate it, right? So, which is some of the EOD equipment. That wasn't some of the stuff that we got to have.
Did you guys use the CD450 or the fucking Zoom?
No, it was like something I didn't know. I didn't get to handle it. But it was like it looked like a really big, chunky remote control with like buttons.
Oh, so, never seen that one.
Yeah, no, most of the stuff we did would be the one that you twist and pull. That kind of modern demo stuff.
Yeah, with the det cord blasting cat, just fucking.
Exactly. Yeah, but this we wanted to get further away, so they were using this radio controlled thing. So of course, like so you got on the one side of the mountain, there's this cache of weapons. On the other side, there's a village, right? Of course, as soon as we're set up, we're all ready to go. We see this little kid running, like just walking, like chilling. He has no idea what the fuck's going on, right? So the Terps just like start shouting at him, just like, "Hey, get the fuck away! We're gonna blow this thing up." So you see his little legs going all the way back, right? So, but then and of course EOD and like my squad leader standing on top of this ridge line. They blow the weapons cache. Of course, it's so much of a bigger explosion than anybody expects. Like it practically takes off half the freaking mountain, right?
Shit.
So meanwhile, we're all like sitting in this formation, pulling security over, and then these freaking rocks like start falling. And the rocks are getting bigger and freaking bigger, right?
Fuck.
So everybody's fuck. You just like I curled up like our medic though. He was the smart one, right? Like he just started looked where they were coming and stepping from side to side and dodge them, of course.
Yeah.
Right. So of course, like EOD guy standing there, he's just like, I guess there were more explosives under those explosives that we saw, right?
Oh no shit, huh?
Yeah. Maybe.
Don't say, dude. Half the mountain's gone.
Yeah. So, but then of course, like I see some like kid, some infantryman across from me, like he just starts shouting, "Oh God!" He tears off his helmet and shit. So I have no the fucking idea what's going on, but I just yell medic, and then that's when like the freaking So apparently that guy, he got he got medevaced. Apparently his like ankle got like turned to like hamburger because something hit it.
Oh.
Yeah, so he was just his career was over. But it was because like
think it was a rock from the fucking avalanche of shit.
Yeah, because it was just like exploded up, man. So
oh shit.
Yeah, so it was just like it's raining rocks and we got hit. So and it was just because we were too freaking winded to walk further away. So yeah,
fuck around and find out, I guess, dude.
That's exactly what happened, man.
Hey, shit happens.
Yeah.
And no matter how far you get, you're gonna feel that fucking shockwave. You're gonna feel that blast. I mean,
sure.
When we were doing our fucking training, we were qualifying with to be operators on the on our MICLIC for our vehicle. I mean, dude, we'd be like a mile away, and sometimes when they would shoot the rockets out with the C4, it would go out so hard, and maybe they would be coiled up a little bit too tight, and it would pull it would detach the deck cord inside. So when it would land and you would run through your shit on the box, and it would detonate, it wouldn't go, and you're like, fuck, let's do it again. Run through the whole thing. You're like, fucking detonate, nothing. And you're 150 I want to say 150 yards away, like, because you have that guide rope that's just like 50 yards or whatever, and then you have all that C4, and it's fucking a shit tons, 1,750 pounds, I think. And oh my god, and it would blow up, and you'd be in the vehicle, and you'd be like, that wasn't too bad. And then when you get to watch that shit, you would feel it so much more, and you're a mile away. It's like the closer you were, you didn't really feel it too much, and then you're fucking in a vehicle, and then you're way far back, and you would feel like in your chest, you're like, holy shit, and you would see that shockwave moving through the high grass. You're like, that's sick.
No, it was. So because in Afghanistan, I'm very confident in saying that we blew up tons of unexploded ordnance and weapons caches, like tons.
That's so fucking cool, bro. I mean, dude, I loved playing with you guys. I mean, not in that sense, but playing with your toy. I mean, it's just not going to sound good anyway. I'm going to say it. So let's just
fair enough.
I like to play with you guys' ordnance.
There you go,
dude. And we would.
That's a new euphemism. I thought it was a Navy thing, man. What's going on?
Hey, dude, we're a department of the Navy. Okay?
There you go.
Just the men's department.
Yeah,
we're still a little. It is what it is. We're comfortable.
There you go.
But
that's the word.
But dude, like even playing with C4, and we would have just like little fucking satchel charges like that, dude. Put it on a telephone pole and be like, all right, let's go to the berm, and sit in the berm. You're like, holy fuck, that was intense. So I can't imagine what that shockwave, after being in few explosions, that are controlled, not having anything. You're just like, fuck it. What that could feel like. I mean, what did that feel like when it hit your chest? I mean, did you get to feel it, or was it because?
Well, I mean, we'd always try to get far enough away, but that's the thing. Like when we were too close, like you're kind of too scared to realize, to like feel it. Because that's the thing. Like out there in Afghanistan, as opposed to when we would demo stuff, in like a Bragg or something. Like you're still pulling security during the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you still because like I said, there's a village over here. You don't know how friendly that village is. You know what I mean? So, so it was a different experience, but like the big ones it was back in, like 02 and 03. So it was before everybody had digital cameras. You know what I'm saying? I think one guy in my whole platoon actually had a digital camera. So he was taking photos. But there are some freaking Kodak moments that I wish I'd had, dude. Like freaking mushroom clouds going up to the sky and stuff. So I
bet I lost all my photos, dude. I have one photo from the Marine Corps, and I'm like, that's cool, dude. I had like that little 5 megapixel camera that was like this fucking big, and that was great for the time. And I lost all of them. I put those fuckers on MySpace, and it's a big
that's
fucking. It's all gone, but
that's a shame.
Did you guys have CD450s when you guys were in to blow ordnance in place?
No, we used to use C4. No, we always use C4.
So you use C4, but you wire up the box. It's, I guess, the Marine Corps. Maybe it's different for you guys, but we just called it a CD450. It was like this little fucking box, and it had, you just prime it, and then you'd hit the detonate, and it had two little I'm not gonna say wing nuts, but like two connectors at the top that you would undo.
Okay, that's like electrical then.
Yeah,
right?
kind of. Like this was
Yeah.
a battery in there, and you'd fucking
Okay, so
wire
yeah,
up the
we
charge.
didn't use the electrical stuff anymore. Like I think that was actually before. I think that might be older than what we were using,
Well,
right?
it makes sense because the Marine Corps doesn't use anything fucking new.
Yeah. So I
So
think that so because they called it the modern demolition system. So that none of it was electrical. Like it was, so you take the C4, you punch your hole in it, you put the blasting cap,
yeah,
and then you run out your deck cord to your command line, and then then you put your thing in the end, which is just twist and pull. Then
yeah,
you go off.
those
So
are awesome. I preferred those, but we did have a
yeah.
lot of fun with that fucking electrical box. We
Mhm.
would run wires out of it and run around and tase people with it.
Yeah.
One of my boys got knocked unconscious.
Oh shit.
They fucking zapped him
That's
like,
pretty intense then.
like a fucking
No,
fainting goat.
I gotta tell you that we did a mission with the Romanian army at one point, Operation Pelinvar. Like it was like their first mission since like World War II or some shit, So it was like a really big deal for them. So they're teaching us how to use their demo, and like, if I can kid you not, you had to light it with a match.
What?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. That's some World War II shit right there, dude.
Wild. Yeah, it was like Looney Tunes, exactly. So you had to like you had to cut the det timer at like an angle so that you could expose to like a wider surface area.
Mhm.
Then you would put the match against the cord and then like run the matchbook against it like that, and then that would set it off. It was wild, yeah.
Wow, that's
so yeah. I mean, I'm sure they've upgraded since joining NATO. You know what I mean? But it was pretty wild back then.
I mean,
No,
if the
maybe
Marine Corps
not.
really doesn't update much, I mean, I don't fucking
Well, you don't
know.
use
Romania,
matches,
bro.
right? So, yeah.
Fuck, dude. So you got to operate with a lot of special forces guys. Did you, in the second deployment, did you get to operate with a lot of those SF dudes?
Yeah. So I mean, again, like it was as support, So the most of what we did was like, because it was technically like their forward operating base, right? It was their fire base, it also became like a refueling place for helicopters and things. So a lot of the work we did with them was to like fortify, help this, fortify the area, put some more wire up, HESCO boxes and shit.
Yeah.
We had some intel guys there, so we had to put up like basically like a holding pen for detainees. Let's call it that. Yeah.
So they can interrogate them.
Well, yeah, I didn't see any of that stuff. I don't think they. Honestly, I don't know if they did any of that there actually. But yeah, like that.
Like, all right.
Yeah.
Just wait for fucking spooks to come and take them.
Kind of. Yeah, but basically, but it was actually one of the coolest teams that I actually went out on mission for. And it's not like they like talked with us at all. Like as far as I know, like they don't know how to speak, right? But it was the Australian SAS. So
Those
we went
guys
out
are
on
fucking bad, dude.
Oh fuck yeah! But like their vehicles are ridiculous though. Like at least back then, right?
How so?
So they were like 6-wheeled freaking vehicles, like straight out of Mad Max, right? They had 6 fucking wheels. They had like guns coming out of like from every doorway, basically, right? But it only had like a 4-cylinder engine.
Of course, dude.
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean, so it's really hilarious.
4-cylinder. I mean, like the way they say it, petrol, or was it a fucking diesel?
I think it was diesel. I think everything was there. It was running on diesel, right? But
those fucking 4-cylinder diesels got some oomph to them, though.
All right, then yeah, but still, it was kind of funny. With 6 wheels, you think you'd have a little more than 4 cylinders. Come on,
yeah.
But it was just funny because there's like you think Australia, you still think of Mad Max, right? So
100%. Everything there tries to fucking kill you. So I mean, I guess they kind of know what they're doing when they have their their crazy vehicles. But yeah, dude. Mad Max was created out of something, and it's definitely
it's
what
true.
It's like over there. Come on, the fucking death valley land. Dude, everything's trying to kill you. The fucking spiders are gonna kill you. The snakes will kill you. Everything over.
Kangaroos will mess you up.
Yeah, dude. Fuck me, dude. You got a fucking box of kangaroo. Jesus, dude. Those Australian dudes are nuts. We had a few SAS dudes on here, and fuck. Their missions were just. Like, we're just gonna go kill people.
Yeah, okay. So that's the thing. Like these guys, they're everybody has their beards, of course, except for us, right?
What? That's bullshit, bro. You get
82nd
attached
wasn't
to special
allowed.
force. Yeah, I get it, but you're attached to special forces, you know? Come on, let me grow a
Yeah.
fucking beard. Let me have something.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird. Like during the second deployment, because again, it's the 82nd, right? So
Yeah.
during the first deployment, we could get pretty lax. You know what I mean? Like we could hang out at like the fob and just our like t-shirts, right?
Right,
But then like they started locking down on the second one, and they're like, no, you have to wear your uniform properly. You know, like like if you're in Bagram, your shit better be pressed. You know what I mean? Like,
Fuck.
yeah, it was
Like, bro,
pretty.
dude, we're willing to die and it's hot as fuck. Let us wear what
Yeah,
we want. Who fucking cares?
yeah. That's actually the philosophy of the Foreign Legions combat engineers. So they always dress differently. Yeah. So they're like, yeah, I guess like in World War One, they would just die so fucking frequently. Like the attitude is just like, all right, just dress however you want, you know. So like when they go on parades, they're always the guys with like big beards and stuff, because just to be like, yeah, we're not gonna dress like everybody else. You don't have to. So
Yeah, and they were all, I think the Foreign Legion was created out of criminals to give them a second chance so that they could go and fight.
yeah.
And if you live, freedom. If not, well, you were in prison anyways. So
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So
so you went to Afghanistan twice.
mhm.
Did you get in any crazy firefights? I know my buddy, he was an airborne, and
Mhm.
he went, fuck, he's my best friend, dude. He used to one of the original hosts of this podcast.
Okay.
And then I took over for him when he had to take off. But great guy, fucking best friend. But he was an airborne, and the shit that they dealt with was fucking wild. And I was like, holy shit, like constant contact. Was
Mhm.
that like what did you guys, because you're in there in 02 and 03, were you, and I assume Iraq was probably a lot hotter,
Yeah, I
than
mean,
Afghanistan.
honestly,
Is
it all
that
kind of depends on the units you're with, right?
right?
So like there were definitely that, like I definitely know of people who got in firefights in Afghanistan, but like for us, it was, especially at Organy, it was kind of, what day was it? I think it was every Tuesday at like sunset, we'd get hit with rocket attacks.
Of
Right,
course.
like, and it was like on the nose, like it was like clockwork. Like they literally had a schedule, you know, like, okay, it's Tuesday, what time's the rockets coming? So of course, like the first time you're like, you know, you're a little bit like, oh fuck, it's rockets incoming. But
Yeah.
then like you realize that their aim is like shit, because
Mhm.
what they just end up like literally they'd like make rebar, they'd make all these little like spikes, and then they'd line up all the rockets on these different rebars and then just set them off like in a row. So they weren't really
Yeah.
aiming, you know, they're
Right.
just sending them in our general direction, right? um
I wonder why. Like, what's the fucking point of that? If you're not even
I-
gonna aim them and you're just gonna fucking set and run.
yeah, I think a lot of it was actually propaganda. So because they would tell like the locals, you know, because we I guess my squad leaders would always get friendly with like the civil affairs guys and stuff,
Right.
and you know the SF guys would always talk to civil affairs guys and be like, yeah, so the propaganda, like the stories around the area is that like this like 30 of you guys died, you know. So they were like,
Oh, faking the funk, huh?
exactly, and they would be like, they weren't even like within our perimeter, man. So yeah,
Fucking
so
idiots, dude. What are you talking about?
yeah, so it was really, I think it was really mostly for propaganda, just to like show that
Makes
they're
sense.
still there to the locals and stuff.
Right. To keep the people oppressed. Because so a lot of people don't know it, but we actually in our we my brother-in-law, he just
Hmm.
he married an Afghani woman, and she
Okay.
was fucking awesome, dude. She is
Yeah.
great. She's an American, right?
Yeah.
But she remembers her time in Afghanistan and remembers what it was like before the war and
Hmm.
before the Taliban came in. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say
Yeah.
before the war, but just before the
Yeah.
Taliban
Yeah.
came in. She's like, they were in school, they were doing shit. She was like, it was beautiful, and we were just farmers, we were just getting along. And then all of a sudden, a lot of people don't think, they think the American oppressors, the whitey the oppressor, came in, right, and was
Yeah.
like, this is our fucking land. Like, no, dude, like we were trying to help liberate these fucking people, right? And
Yeah.
trying to find, weapons of mass destruction, obviously, because you guys just someone adjacent to the terrorism,
Yeah.
whether it's in that area or not, fucking just blew up in a
Yeah.
bunch of two towers, and a bunch of terror attacks just
And
happened in U.S. soil. But
yeah.
what people don't understand is that we were trying to help liberate these fucking people over there because they were being just destroyed by the Taliban. And she was telling me, like, it was horrible. The Taliban would just oppress you and fucking keep you down. They wouldn't let you go to school. And then finally her family had to fucking flee. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. And it's just listen to her stories. I'm like, oh my God, I would love to get her on here, but I doubt she would come on. But that's just crazy. And I think a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah, no, it's brutal. Like, because you know, like we talked to the Terps about it and stuff, you know, like, you know, well, what are the Taliban really like? And they'll be like, oh, if a woman is suspected of like adultery, they would just stand her next to a wall and like push the wall onto her. You know,
Jesus,
like that was like, okay, that's one way to deal with it. You know,
yeah, dude, that's nuts. Fuck. Well, so you were in Afghanistan and then you got out and then you started your work as in the gaming industry, and that led to some other things. What did that lead to?
Yeah, so basically now, you know, so I've worked in the video game industry like 10 years. And basically I was in Sweden for a couple of years. What was it? 21 to like 23 or something.
Okay.
And then after my, you know, but I met another veteran there, Matt, who was actually working as a level designer. He came back to the States a little bit before I did, like a year or so. But then I came back when my work visa ran out, and then, you know, we kept in touch. But at one point, you know, we were talking on the phone. He's like, "Yeah, there's this game I want to make. You know, I've been thinking about it for like ever since I was first deployed in Iraq. You know what I mean?" And my idea, you know, my thinking, because again, like I've already produced films before, so like the whole like business setup part of it wasn't foreign to me. I was like, well, let's just freaking make it, man. You know?
Right.
So, you know, like you're a Ghost Recon fan, you play Call of Duty and stuff, like the games like used to really try to feel authentic, you know? They were still very accessible, really easy to pick up, but like you could be like, okay, this is conceivably what, you know, you know, an SAS guy would act like or something, or this is what, you know, a special operator, this is what their life could be like. But now, like, you play Call of Duty, like you can play as Nicki Minaj, you can play as you know what I mean? Important. You can play as Ninja Turtle and stuff, you know. And like, so more and more of the games we used to play, like Rainbow Six Siege is another Tom Clancy game, right? But now they have like, you know, CP3O is in that or something, you know. So it's just like all these games are kind of getting more and more like Fortnite, like you're saying,
right?
Then on the other side of the spectrum, like the military stuff, like there are these games like Arma, like Ground Branch. They're much more intense with like the desire for authenticity, especially coming from the fans. Like there are some games like Squad or something where like apparently like people will make you salute them and stuff, like even though you're like just playing, you know, when you play together. Yeah, so there's this big gap of all these games that we used to play, like, or that we even started working on, that tried to feel authentic, but we're still really accessible to people. So we formed our own game studio trying to fill this gap. So, you know, we're two combat veterans and we're making combat games.
Dope. And is that Old Glory Studios?
Yes. Sorry, that is Old Glory Studios. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So if you guys want to check out Old Glory Studios, it's https:// oldglorystudios.us/. If you're watching this, you can look at it. It's up on the screen. If not, it is oldglorystudios.us. Type that in, check it out. I think that's fucking awesome. Before we start, I completely forgot. In this podcast, we're all over the place. It doesn't matter. Cool. But when you were in the military, so you were not only an engineer, you're not only a game designer, you not only operated with special forces, you know, in Afghanistan, you know, and you have jump wings. That's fucking awesome. But you were also a fucking chaser, which most people don't know what that is. How the fuck do you do that? How do you go from all that stuff to coming back to the States and doing chasing duties?
Well, it was a detail, so it wasn't like an actual role. I don't know if how it is in the Marines, where it's not like it was my full-time job. Like
no,
detail,
yeah,
right?
I was a chaser too.
Okay.
You got certified. Your shit. You got a little fucking thing that says you're a chaser now.
Exactly.
Trainings, I think, with MPs or some bullshit, and then you got to chase. You got to
transport. Yeah, escort. So basically, we had someone in our battalion, an engineer battalion, who was a crackhead at the end of the day. Like he was just really into his cocaine or something. So he ended up stealing a bunch of stuff from like his barracks roommate. Well, actually, because he was actually married, so I guess his wife kicked him out. So he ended up moving into the barracks, and then he started stealing stuff from his roommate or something. So yeah, he got caught. He got arrested. So I had to keep shuttling him from Bragg to Lejeune over there. They needed an E5. That was me. Yeah, it was kind of
nice.
It was kind of like chill, actually. I mean, the worst part about it was the guy had a mouth. Like he just liked to talk. You know what I mean? Like he's one of these
worst.
Which is just like, yeah. I mean, he wasn't like talking shit. Like he was friendly enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, like some addicts, they'll try to like talk their way out of shit all the time. So
know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
100%.
So yeah, but it was also like in that part of North Carolina, which is the state I'm living in now. Like there are a crap ton of like pig farms. So there's like whole counties that just stink, you know. So I mean, I like eating the pork, so I'm not going to complain too hard, right?
Smithfields.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but it was cool. It was always like crazy to like see the lance corporals shouting them down and stuff when you take them to the brig. But yeah, nothing too nuts though with that. But my last jump in division though, like it was a night jump, of course, and it was. I thought it'd be chill because there wasn't any wind really that night.
Yeah.
So I ended up falling straight down. And of course, you know, when you jump, you still have all your equipment with you, right? So I had my rucksack. It's like tied between your legs, and after you start falling, after your chute opens, you like pull the thing, and then it hangs down below you by like a lanyard type cord, right?
Right.
And then you got your rifle on one side. But you know, even though it's night, you can generally kind of see just by moonlight or just from the lights of whatever vehicles that people have because it's a training mission, right? But here I'm coming down and I see like the horizon is still going up, even though I haven't hit the ground. So I was like, fuck, like what the hell's going on? Basically, there was a hill, so wasn't prepared to fall properly, you know,
fuck.
like
yeah.
So I landed on top of my rucksack, I think, and I basically sprained my ankle really bad.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, but like so after like, but I couldn't just go to medical because I was the only chaser NCO, so I had to like get through the mission, and then like I had to do chaser detail, like shuttling this guy to Lejeune and to the courthouse and stuff with a busted ankle before I could actually like get it looked at. So
that sucks. But that's crazy. You came in my neck of the woods, and I was a chaser. I had to chase a few people, and that's crazy. You had a crackhead in yours. We had a meth head in ours.
Okay,
dude, we had some crazy fucking people, bro. Like there's so many crazy stories from when I was in and from when I got out. Like right after I got out, dude, we would always joke about hookers and alligators in our wall lockers and our foot lockers and stuff like that. When I got out, bro, these fucking guys. Strippers or hookers in the fucking wall lockers on inspection. The fucking, oh my God. Fucking fun
times, huh?
We would catch alligator, dude. My buddy Aaron's would catch alligators and do dumb shit with that. Oh my God. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. And we'd have to chase all these fucking yahoos. We had a couple people on our unit that were just fucking morons. And we had, dude, there's like a handful.
Yeah.
Dude, a lot of them were drugs, and the one was fucking printing funny money and going to the PX and buying beer and shit.
Shit.
Like, bro. Yeah, another guy, a good friend of mine, fucking just back before we knew what PTSD was.
Yeah.
And back before we knew what fucking mental illness was. And he was an engineer before. And he was in the invasion in Iraq and did a bunch of crazy shit and had deployed like 6 fucking times. Then came to us and was trying to keep his career going, but he had been NGP'd so many fucking times for alcohol because no one knew that was just a cry for fucking help. It was
or self-medicating or something.
Yeah, he was self-medicating with alcohol, and this dude had mad PTSD, and he did some crazy shit. And luckily, we never had to chase him because we're like, dude, we understood, like, you're fucking suffering, you're hurting, and we get it. And man, and I feel so bad for the guy. He ended up taking his own life, but
That's hard, man. That's
Yeah,
rough.
when he got out, it was fucking
Yeah.
rough, dude. I remember getting the calls like, fuck, god damn.
Mhm.
And Corcoran, rest in peace, brother. But anyways, he was one of the best dudes I ever worked with, but one of the craziest alcoholics I've ever worked with. And holy
Yeah.
shit, dude, he would do some wild stuff.
See, this is the
Oh my
thing
God.
too, though. Like, what a lot of people in the civilian world don't think about is that you kind of want to have that crazy guy on your side, though. You know what I mean?
When you're
Like when
deployed,
you're
fuck,
going,
sure.
when you're going into that shit, you need the crazy guy. You know, like you need him on your side. That wild card is going to get you through some shit. You know, so
Dude, we had a staff sergeant before we
Yeah.
start started bringing
Yeah,
landing this plane, but we had a staff sergeant and it was adjacent to our unit. So we were in a specialized unit for the MICLIC shit. And
Mhm.
this other staff sergeant was in this other unit. I want to say it was like Charlie Company or something.
Mhm.
And he was in the first push in Iraq and the invasion and all that stuff and all of that shit. And this dude was blasted, like, I mean, head to toe, fucking tatted out.
Yeah.
And all of his tats, come to find out, were all of his kills.
Holy shit, dude.
He was one of the scariest motherfuckers I have ever been around. And you could tell he was not someone to fuck with. And I was like, oh, thank God I'm not in his platoon. But I really wanted to be in his platoon because that dude was a fucking nutcase. And it was probably one of the best people you could probably work for because he was crazy. Like he wanted to go out there and do the fucking work. And then that's exactly what you're talking about when you want that motherfucker who's got a couple of screws loose, but it's mission oriented and you can fucking point them in the direction like, kill, go for it. Let the fucking leash off and just go.
That's the thing.
That's what you want, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck. So. But I mean, hey, if you're struggling, guys, fucking talk to someone. I always got to say it when we talk about some heavy shit like that. Make sure that if you're hurting, you're struggling, it's okay. Or if you know someone it is, reach out to that brother, that sister. Hey, are you okay? It's something we'd like to push here. And as we're trying to land this plane, I understand that I'm probably forgetting some stuff right now, but I know that you have a dedication, and we like to give our guests a chance to dedicate every episode. But before we do our dedication, I like to ask, and I know Tom likes to ask every single time we have someone on, do you have any advice for guys who are coming on, getting into the military or anything like that? Do you have any advice for them moving forward?
People trying to get into it.
Yeah, or they could already be in, and maybe they're trying to navigate their way through the military, or maybe they're struggling. Any advice you have for anybody?
Sure. I mean, one of the things that I wish I would have explored more. I mean, again, like I said, I had a fire under my ass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when I enlisted. But there are like a crap ton of different jobs out there. You know, like when like when my first enlistment ended, that's the only time when I really started exploring what other kind of jobs I could have had. You know, so but yeah, like there are so many different things you could do, things that'll teach you different skills. You know, like I met a guy who's actually like a translator. Like I guess he was technically one of the human intelligence guys, right? But he knew Chinese and like Japanese or something. So he just had like some chill deployment in like Japan, where all he really did was like read open source newspapers. You know what I mean? Right? Then he and his wife get to like live in Japan on Uncle Sam's dime, you know? So
yeah, that's nice, dude.
Exactly. So like definitely like explore and see what other options there are out there. It was funny. Like there was one guy and I met who's from Queens, but like his family had like a funeral parlor in Queens, and he was really disappointed that he'd become a combat engineer because he'd wanted to do like the funeral stuff in the military, you know. So like there are all kinds of things you can do, like anything. Like most of the stuff that you get won't actually translate into the real world, no matter what people tell you. You know what I mean?
Right.
You go to all your different schools and be like, oh yeah, you'll get college credits for this course. Like, nah, man, you're not going to get any of that stuff. No. You know,
half the courses won't even be listed on your shit when you get out. Like I did some cool shit. I got all my licenses. I did all this other cool shit. I was a subject matter expert and blowing some stuff up. And then I went to some fucking cool engineer school. None of that shit made it on there. And how do I tell an employer like, hey, bro, I got to do some cool stuff. I know how to blow stuff up. I know how to do all this other shit. It's real technical stuff.
Yeah.
But
that's the
really
thing.
translate.
Yeah. So that's the other thing too. Like when you nobody actually goes in like thinking about the exit, I think,
Right.
but which I mean some people do, I guess. Like some people who are like, but a lot of times you can still navigate your way like to a good career out. Like one of my good buddies, he became like a helicopter mechanic in the military. Then when he got out, he got a job at Boeing, and now he's doing like cadre stuff. Or I can't remember what his proper title is, but he's like a civilian like that works with like army weapons. You know what I mean? Like whenever there's a new system, he gets to play with it. That kind of shit.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually my next jump. Once I retire, I'm going over to fucking Northrop.
Oh, nice. Okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah, she's on the F-35. That's fucking dope. So basically, do your due diligence, know what you want to do, see if that can translate out to something else. If you're concerned about not necessarily, I mean, maybe career survival, maybe what can come next after the military, do your due diligence looking at what jobs are available and then, because I mean right now we're in fucking kind of peacetime, do your due diligence, look what can translate out, go serve, get your college paid for, and get something that can translate out to that can help you and propel your career forward. Kind of you're looking at.
Yeah, pretty much.
Awesome. That's awesome. And then if you want to check them out again, oldglorystudios.us. That is oldglorystudios.us. That's awesome.
Yeah, bro. And if I can just add there real quick, we're currently we're doing like a crowdfund, but it's an equity crowdfund, trying to raise some money so we can finish our first game. It's a PvP 5 versus 5 game. And we want it to feel authentic. That's the kind of game we want to try to get, but still easy to get. So check out the website. There's more information there. So.
Okay, and that's where you can go for that crowd funding thing. Okay, again, that is oldglorystudios.us. Go there for the crowdfunding. I'm gonna fucking go there. I think that's cool. We need some new realistic games. That's awesome. And as a military member, I fucking appreciate it. And as we're getting ready to close this out, we always give our chance to a guest or a chance to dedicate an episode to a fallen brother or sister. And I understand that you have that dedication.
Yeah. So I'll dedicate this to Sergeant Mike Caramore. Like he was my first team leader when I deployed to Afghanistan the first time. He would never say that he was the team leader that you wanted, because he could be a real hard ass and also kind of a smart ass too. But, like he was a hard ass for a reason. And he was a goofball, like in his own way. But he was what I needed coming in. You know what I mean? Like I had to get my shit squared away. Like he really got me there. After he got out, I think that's where he found some trouble. I don't know the whole story. We kind of lost touch there, but I know he had a lot of people who cared about him too, but he still couldn't quite make his way through it. So
rest easy, brother. We've got it from here. Man, that's so sad, dude. I mean, I feel you. I have my buddy Corcoran. I mean, we have so many. We could just fucking go and just start rattling fucking names off. Like it sucks. The more we get older, the older we get and longer time goes by, it's just demons catch up with people, and sometimes they don't have those coping mechanisms, and it's rough. So if anyone's out there and they're struggling, or you know someone's struggling, send that text. Hey, bro, you okay? It could change someone's life. I'm a big proponent of it. I've seen it work. And just let people know that you're there. I mean, it is what it is, but that's so sad. I hate having to dedicate episodes. I wish we could get to a point where we never have to dedicate another episode.
Yeah, right.
Because no one's dying. We don't have any fallen officers. We don't have any, fallen firefighters. We don't have any vets that are losing the battle to the fucking demons. We don't have people overseas dying. I mean, that's just. I mean, I wish we could get to the point where that never has to happen again.
Yeah,
it's so rough, especially when the people we care about. Well, I want to say thank you so much, brother, for coming on. And again, if you want to go check that out, and if you want to go be a part of that crowdfunding, oldglorystudios.us. I want to say thank you for everybody for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow us on Instagram at war_stories_official and our Facebook at War Stories Podcast. You can also check the link out in our bio on both platforms to find all of our social media and our media links. Our website, our podcast is available on all major streaming platforms, including YouTube, where you will see this episode. If you'd like to support us, head over to our website at www.warstoriesofficial.com. Grab some gear. We have some Whoopie hoodies, some shirts still available. And once those go out, they're not coming back. And we'll be starting to rework some stuff. So get it while you can. Do you have a story to tell? You know someone who does? We're always looking for law enforcement, veterans, corrections officers, dispatchers, firefighters, medics, ER docs, and ER nurses to feature on the show. If you're interested, email us at booking.warstories@gmail.com or go to linkedin.com, War Stories Podcast. I'm going to put that up right now. And share your story. We'd love to have you on. If you know someone who'd be a great fit, please send them our way. Also, check out our TikTok at www.tiktok.com at War Stories Locker Room. And if you go to LinkedIn or Booking, I'll get you in contact. If you go to Booking, I'll get you in contact with our producer, Dylan. If you go to LinkedIn, you will talk to Dylan. He'll get you booked. Thank you for all the support. Stay safe. And until our next episode, come home with your shield or on it.